Hey, it's Irina Pozan, and welcome back to the Career Cravings Podcast. This podcast has a simple mission. It's to help ambitious professionals like you build the career and life that you've been craving. Over the past 15 years, I've worked as an HR leader, designed hiring systems, led recruitment teams, and I've sat on the other side of the hiring table. I've seen what works in today's job market, what doesn't, and what separates those good candidates from the ones that actually land their dream roles. Now I'm bringing everything I've learned straight to you. Each episode is packed with actionable insights and tools to help you land your dream role sooner. Now let's dive in. Before we dive into today's episode, I want to share something deeply personal with you, which I have been reflecting on as I create the vision for this podcast 2 years ago. My family and I came to Canada with nothing. We lived in the tiniest apartment in the worst area of Toronto. And my parents and I didn't speak a word of English, and we were barely making ends meet. And at Christmas that year, my gifts came from a charity where we would get canned food. Now, fast forward to today, I'm living a life that little girl could have never imagined back then. I get to run my dream business. I am traveling to dream destinations around the world. I'm married to the love of my life, and we have a dream family and home and a Lamborghini in the driveway. And yet it still blows my mind how quickly things can change, even in just 1 year. So if you have ever wondered if those big life-changing transformations are possible, then this episode is going to show you that they absolutely are. And I'm also going to be walking you through the 3 powerful shifts that you can make starting today to turn your wildest dreams into a reality. So let's back up a little bit. That Christmas 32 years ago, I remember like it literally just happened today. I woke up and this was a new tradition. We didn't celebrate Christmas in this way ever before. And what I saw were like a million gifts under the tree. That's what it seemed like to me. And I still literally remember what they were. There were 3 things that stood out. I got this huge sticker collection. I was obsessed with stickers. I was about 5 years old. I also got this journal. It was like a big case, this journal with all this paper and colored pens. And then one thing, I still laugh about this. I remember I was so excited, but I literally got goldfish crackers, but they were wrapped up and under the tree and like another thing to open. And I've never had that before because obviously we did not have that in Russia. And all of those little things put together, it made for the most magical Christmas. And the interesting thing is that like later I learned that those gifts were donated to our family from a charity program because we had just come from Canada. We had nothing, and they served meals as well to people that needed them, which now fast forward to just a couple years ago, my husband and I and our son, I was on the board for this organization, and we went and we served meals to people through the holidays. And we literally used my car and we drove all around Toronto and delivered hot meals to people later in life, which was such a full circle moment. But it's wild to think about how quickly things can change. It's also wild to think about that at Christmas, I also decided that I would be doing this podcast, and then comparing the Christmas that I get to give to my son now. And what a difference that is. We are healthy, we are safe, and we have so much more than we can ever ask for. And my son's experience is so different. And it really makes me just pause and think how different my son's life is. For example, last summer in June, we went to Whistler and we all flew business, and we all had pods. And my son is sitting there like around the same age that when I came to Canada, and he's sitting there in his own pod. He's laying back. He's got pillows. He's got blankets. His feet are up. His shoes are off, and he's ordering with the flight staff, like anything that he wants. He's getting unlimited snacks, these fresh juices delivered to him. And I look at him and I just think, wow, like our upbringing was so different. And this is something my husband and I always talk about because his upbringing was actually very similar to mine, different yet similar. And what we get to give to our son is so different. And it just makes me stop and think how grateful I am and how crazy life is. That so much can happen in just 1 year. But this does not happen by accident. It is built step by step, one intention at a time. So this episode is meant to show you exactly how you can also create your dream career, your dream life, no matter where you are starting from. Because your dreams are not random. They are meant for you. And today I'm going to be sharing the exact 3 strategies that help me get to the next level in my career, in my life, every single year that I apply, every year at goal setting. And as I was reflecting, I'm like, okay, I need to share this. So let's dive in and let's get started. In order to text your life, to quantum leap, to take your current state and turn it into your dream future, you need to be interesting. And you also need to be interested in growing as well. The most successful people that I know, the leaders, the innovators, the people that inspire, my own mentors, people that have mentored me at any stage of my career, they've all had one thing in common, and it is that they never stop learning. So to be the person that people are drawn to in order to either excel in your career or just to get to that next level, you have to be willing to evolve, grow, to learn a fresh perspective, whether it's listening to podcasts that light you up or reading a book that helps you grow or saying yes to big career moves and taking that leap. This growth is what makes you magnetic. And here's the thing, I am constantly learning and it's not always comfortable. I'll tell you, about a month ago, I knew absolutely nothing about podcasting. And I'm sure what I'm going to know in another month is going to really help me. And when I think about after the end of the year, on December 31st, 2025, I would have recorded more than 50 podcast episodes, at least one a week for the rest of the year. And I'm sure by then I will know 10x the amount that I've learned in the last month. And it's because I have made the commitment to continue to learn and to perfect this and to take the feedback that I get and to make it better. And it's not always comfortable. Like I'll tell you, I'll never forget standing in front of my kindergarten class when we just moved to Canada and being so terrified because I couldn't speak any English. And I actually remember that year, again, we did not start in the best neighborhood. It was actually one of the worst in Toronto. And I remember being on the playground. I used the word she and he wrong. Like I didn't know that she was the feminine and what it referred to. And I made that mistake. And I literally remember a kid teasing me because I couldn't speak English. And that fear did hold me back, and it led to some confidence issues that I had to work through later. So that fear stayed with me for years. But then one day I realized fear is not a stop sign. It's a signal. It's a signal to keep growing, to look into that discomfort, to lean into it. And that decision changed my life. Like if we fast forward to today, last year alone, I had over 10,000 people attend my free masterclasses. I've gotten hundreds of notes of people saying that they were inspired, their lessons that they took away, that they were empowered. And if you asked me in kindergarten when I couldn't even speak English, if I would be public speaking in that arena, truth is no, I could have never imagined that. But it wasn't luck. It's growth, step by step, year after year, leaning into that discomfort. At 2 years ago, my family and I decided to learn how to ski. And we actually took my mom on this ski vacation and none of us knew how to ski. We're like, okay, we're intentionally going into this. My son had never skied. My mom, who's like 20 years older than me, had never skied. And then also my husband and I had skied last time in high school. So it's been like so many years. And we committed to it. We're like, okay, we're going on this trip and we are going to learn it. So what we did first was try to go down the bunny hills. We put everything on, and there's like this free lesson that they have at the ski hills, especially for kids. So my son was doing that, and we were all watching him, and we were trying alongside the lessons, and we were all like frustrated. We were going to give up. My son actually did not want to go back because like the lesson, there was one coach and like so many students, and he wasn't getting the attention he needed, and he didn't want to do it anymore because it was hard. So we stepped away. We went to lunch, and we were sitting there, and we're like, oh my God, the rest of this trip is not going to be very fun. And we convinced our son to go back, and we got a private ski lesson. And it changed everything. This coach was incredible. He basically took us from the bunny hill that like used the little conveyor belt on. And within hours, we were able to go on the green hill. And if we had tried to do this ourselves, first of all, we would have quit because we couldn't have kept going the way we were. We couldn't do anything. We didn't have any of the skill. And yes, we could have learned ourselves, except it would have been more painful. There would have been a lot of convincing. My mom probably would have stopped with my son and they would have left. But after we had a coach, he made it fun and he made it enjoyable. And we were all into it. We were taking videos of each other. I have this video of my mom going down like her first hill and she was killing it. She was doing so well. Like she's smiling. I'm like, oh my goodness, if she can learn this now. It was so inspiring. And we all did that together. And it was like a bonding experience. And then the rest of the trip, we were going on the green hill, which if you know skiing, there's a big difference between the bunny hill and the green hill. If we had tried to do it ourselves, we would have probably given up or we wouldn't have fun with the experience. And now it's a sport that we do year after year. We go on different hills, different locations because we love it now. And I'm so grateful that we have a winter sport that we all love that we can do together. So it is not about where you start. It's about committing to the process. And I want you to become the most interesting person you know. And what I mean by this is always be learning, taking on new things, growing, be the person who inspires others simply by living with curiosity. And I want to make this actionable because growth isn't just a mindset. It's really a habit that you can apply to anything. So I want you to take action. So start today. I want you to add one new thing to your routine that expands your mind or energizes you. And this doesn't have to be huge. It could be literally a very small thing that you could do consistently. It doesn't have to be huge. So this should be something. Now, this should be something that's aligned with your goals. So let's say your goal is to land a new role. Amazing. I want you to set up a routine that expands your mind. What can you learn? What can you commit to that will help you in that job search? And pick one thing literally this week. It could be career related. It could be something personal and just commit to it and set aside 30 minutes a day for your development, for your growth. And I promise you it will pay off. And I'd love to hear more on what you're learning, what you're committing to. So feel free to slide into my DMs and let me know. But your life will only grow as much as you do. So let's commit to being curious, to evolving, and to getting into that next level together. So the next thing I was reflecting on that has made the biggest difference in my career and also in launching my business has been in investing in coaches and mentors. So throughout my career, I have always had a mentor. Paid or not, I always had someone that I was learning from, asking questions to get to that next level. And I had a variety of them. And here's the truth. I don't like to take things slow. And I knew with my career, that was going to be one of those things that I also didn't want to take slow. I didn't want to wait forever. And I didn't also want the trial and error route. Because just like skiing, you can either fast track your results by learning from someone who has done it before you, or you can learn and do the trial and error yourself. It's just going to take so much longer. And if you know me, I don't have a ton of patience. I knew I wanted to fast track my success. And seriously, it's not always easy. But when I started my business, I was literally terrified. And I kept thinking, this is so important to me. I know it's going to work, but like, what do I do? What are actually the step-by-step things that I need to do? Because I've never done it before. It's like, yes, I've been in HR for 15 years. Amazing. But this is something brand new. And how do I do it? And what I did, the first thing that I did before, like a month before I even started the business, I hired a coach. I knew that I needed to learn from someone who has already gone before me, who has done this, because I didn't have a ton of time. I had a full-time director role that was a priority to me. And when I started the business, I didn't know how it would go. And seriously, when I was paying for that coaching, like I remember my hands shaking as I entered my credit card details for that coaching program because it didn't make sense. Like when I thought logically, I'm like, it doesn't make sense for me to get a mentor yet. I haven't even started this, but that was the first thing that I did. And that investment has paid off tenfold. So it was literally the best thing that I've done. And looking back, it's like I knew instinctively I didn't have time to play around, right? I needed to know how to make the biggest impact in the shortest amount of time. And that was really important to me. So then I found someone who's already walked that path, who's already done what I wanted to do. And she helped me avoid a lot of mistakes and get crystal clear on like what I wanted for my vision so that I can confidently move forward. The best decision that I've ever made was to get that coach. And also this lesson does not apply to just your career or just business. So last summer, my friend and I wanted to play tennis. She lives in my neighborhood and there are these gorgeous tennis courts, brand new. They had just redone them that were always empty. And we're like, yeah, we should play tennis for sure. Right. And both of us were like, yeah, we've never played before. So we tried to play together and it didn't work. So neither of us knew how to serve. We couldn't hit the ball towards each other. And we're like, okay, we could do it like this because, we could take the time, we could invest the time and try to figure it out. We could watch some YouTube videos. We could try to piece it together, see where we're going wrong. And hopefully one day we'll be good enough to like go back and forth. So we quickly realized that this was a total mess. After having the vision already set that we knew we wanted to play, we found out that the coach at the gym is also a tennis coach. And we hired him for private lessons. And all of last summer, we learned to play tennis. And are we perfect at it? No, we're a level 2.5, he said, whatever that means. So if you play tennis, but it basically means you can comfortably like hit the ball back and forth a certain number of times. And now we know how to play and we'll build on that. And again, in the spring and the summer, we're going to pick that back up and play outdoor tennis again when it opens up. And the reason this decision was so helpful is because we knew we wanted to get better faster. And having someone guide us who knows how to do things properly made all the difference. It again made it fun so that we can continue to learn and grow. And your search can also be enjoyable like that too. When you are getting calls from your job search, you're landing dream interviews, you're progressing to the next stages, you're getting exciting offers. Amazing. Like that is fun. Instead of 8 months of applications and rejections and not knowing where you're going wrong and not having your resume noticed, what that could do is make you give up and just think, you know what, I'll just stay in this role or I'll accept something that I'm overqualified for because this is too hard. And I wouldn't blame you for that decision if you are continuing to struggle over and over, because that is not enjoyable. And we will quit at the things that are not enjoyable, where we're not seeing any progress. It is so much harder to stay motivated for something that you don't see the results of. So if you're like, yes, Irina, this is me right now. I feel like I'm stuck. I want to fast track, then amazing. So I have a free resource for you. It is my free masterclass where I literally go through every single step you need to fast track your search, from getting calls back from your resume to knowing how to approach your interviews. The link is in the show notes. You could just swipe up and there are 2 masterclasses there. There's one specifically just for HR professionals. And then there's another one for all corporate professionals and all other fields. Okay. And if you're sitting here and you're also like, you know what? I don't have a mentor right now for my career, then you have already started by being here. You're listening to this podcast and you are taking action literally just by being here and listening to this episode today. So if you are like, you know what, you're right, I'm ready to learn from someone who's walked the path before me, then amazing. I have a ton of free resources that you can swipe in the show notes, and I'm so excited for you to take action. All right. So to recap on this point, find a mentor, either free or paid, someone who has the knowledge and the experience to guide you in your goal, whether it's tennis or job search or skiing, starting a business, whatever that looks like. This tip applies to anything. Also, leverage free resources. If you can't afford a mentor, like I took that leap to hire someone when it didn't make sense. I had never made a single dollar in my business. And I hired an amazing coach who helped me X my results so much faster. And I got all of my money back literally within months. So tip number 2 is to leverage free resources. If you can't afford a mentor or a paid program, amazing. Look for courses, communities, podcasts like this one. Commit to learning from others because their insights can save you so much time in trial and error and not knowing where you're going wrong. And time is our most valuable resource. So you could be here doing the same thing over and over for the next 8, 9, 10 months, or you could figure it out super quickly and start getting another result that makes whatever it is that you're committed to fun. Okay. And here is a reflection prompt. So ask yourself, who has the experience to help me avoid mistakes? Who can help me learn faster, get to the level of proficiency faster? Who can guide me to reach my goals faster? So remember, success does not have to take 15 years. It doesn't have to be slow. It doesn't even have to take a whole summer. With the right mentor, you can fast track. So think about that. Think about how you can find the resources and the mentorship that you need to achieve your goal. All right. So moving on to the third step. This is so important. This is probably the biggest one, and it is to take action despite your fear. So I want to talk about fear. So fear is one of those things that will creep up when we're trying to get to the next level or the next version of ourselves. So when we're thinking about going for that new job and leaving something behind that we know so well, this can come up. Or when you're trying to learn something new, like going down a huge ski hill. I remember the first time, like we took the chairlift, I got to the top. I've never been more scared in my life. I'm like, how will I make it down? Like I've literally, how will I make it down? I started the business, same thing. And the thing that I come back to is like, I remember leaving an organization that was an incredible company. I was there for 7 years. I'd been promoted there. I had great mentors there, and thinking like, am I nuts? I have a fully remote role. It is so easy. I could do it with my eyes closed. But the truth is, I was bored out of my mind, and I knew that I was ready for something more. And I knew in my heart that I was ready to dive into that director of talent role, that next level role. And if I had let fear stop me, I still would have been at that company today, because it was consistent and it was stable and it was safe, and people stayed there for like 25 years. All of my peers were going to retire with that organization. And many of them were. Like each and every year we celebrated a retirement for someone who had been there 25, 30 years. Making the decision to leave was one of the best decisions I had ever made. Because although it was scary, as soon as I got into the new role, I knew that everything happened for a reason. And I knew that this was where I was meant to be. So for the action step here, I want you to think about what scares you most about the goal that you have set for yourself. That big vision that you have for yourself, I want you to think about what scares you most. And then I want you to think about what is the one small step that you can do today to take action. And then I want you to think about the small actions that you can take every single day to commit to that next level version of yourself. So don't wait for the perfect time. There is literally never a perfect time. So before we wrap up, I would love to hear from you. If you have taken even one thing away from today's episode or from any of the episodes you've listened to so far, I would love to hear from you. I am running a contest that I will be announcing the winner to next month. And all you have to do is to rate and review this podcast wherever you're listening to it. And then send me a screenshot to my DMs, either on LinkedIn or Instagram, which also my contacts are linked below. And I will be selecting a winner to get one-on-one coaching with me next month. Also, don't forget, I have a ton of free resources always in the show notes. So, all right, let's recap what we talked about today. So let's recap the biggest takeaways from today. So first, always keep learning to become the most interesting person you know. Make growth a consistent part of your life, whether it's reading books, listening to podcasts. Second, find a mentor. So don't go it alone. You can get guidance from someone who has walked the path before you. And also take action. Take action today despite your fear, because it'll never be the perfect time. You will never have all the answers, but starting today will help you 10x your results. And remember, if you just remember one thing from today's episode, let it be that you are more ready than you think. So take the leap. Let's make it happen together, and see you in the next episode of the podcast. Hey, before you go, if you've enjoyed listening to today's show, I would love your support. Please take a moment to leave a review anywhere where you listen to podcasts. And here's the exciting part. I'm running a special contest and giving away a one-on-one session with yours truly. All you have to do is leave a review, take a screenshot, and send it to me in my DMs. All of my contact info is in the show notes. I appreciate you so much, and I cannot wait to build the career and life that you've been craving together. See you next week.